और प्रधान जी मनोहर सिंह जी को असी बेनती करने क्या कि बड़े मिठे शब्द सानू सुना दो अगर नहीं
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। कुछ दिन पहले मैंने एक मैसेज मिलिया कि अफगानिस्तान दे हिंदू सिख मिल के एक कॉन्फ्रेंस की गई है, रखी गई है, जिस विचकार अफगानिस्तान के हिंदू सिखा ने मिल के हिस्सा लेना है। तो उस विचकार सब तो पहले जेड़े अफगानिस्तान विचकार साढ़े भरा मारे गए, मैं उन्होंने वास्ते अरदास करना सतगुरु उन्होंने अपने चरणों में निवास बख्शे। हुणे हुणे पिछे एक दर्दनाक वाक़या होया, साढ़े गुरुद्वारे ते अटैक होया करते पुरान गुरुद्वारे ते, और काफ़ी नुकसान होया उथे। पर जो परमात्मा नूं पाउंदा उही हुंदा है, कुछ कर नहीं सकता बंदा। इस दे नाल दे कई अटैक साढ़े ते होए हैं पहले, कोई नवीं गल साढ़े ते मतलब हमेशा हर साल कुछ ना कुछ होंदा रहता है, क्योंकि उथे कई लोग नहीं चाहते कि असी उस मुल्क च कर रही हैं। इस वास्ते वो कुछ ना कुछ हर साल करते रहते हैं। दूसरा 100 साला खालसा दीवान का जो 1922 कर अफगानिस्तान कर शुरुआत हुई सी, उसकी वो भी 100 साल पूरे हो गए हैं 1921 कर सारी। तो वो बिचे कोरोना करके कोई ज़्यादा लंबे इसते असी नहीं मना सके बड़े पैमाने ते, तो वो वास्ते भी ये प्रोग्राम होना सी। मैं प्रबंधकों वालों बहुत ही इन्हों का धन्यवाद करना कि इन्होंने मिल के, क्योंकि असी अफगानिस्तान भी सारे इकट्ठे आए, एको चीज़ है, साड़ियाँ जिन्नियां भी सोसाइटियाँ बन दियां वो सारिया मुश्तरक होंदियां। अफगान हिंदू सिख वेलफेयर सोसाइटी साड़ी दिल्ली से आ रहे, खालसा दीवान वेलफेयर सोसाइटी है जिस कर हिंदू सिखां कर कोई फर्क नहीं रखा गया। असी दोनों एक ही भरावां, अफगानिस्तान भी असी होंगे, जलालाबाद काबुल कंधार सारे एको भरावां वर्गे रहंदे आए। तो एक मिल के जड़ा ये प्रोग्राम बनाया गया अपनी आवाज़ नूं दुनिया तक पहुँचाने वास्ते कि साढ़े उत्थे मंदिर गुरुद्वारे साड़ियाँ प्रॉपर्टियाँ जड़ियां वो जड़े हैं सेफ रहन।
सत्कारयोग अफगान संबंधित संस्थावां दे मैंबर साहिबानों, आप सब नूं दिल दी गहराइयां विचों फतेह बुलांदा हां। फतेह दा जवाब फतेह ना देना। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। बड़ा खुशियां भरिया मौका है जो अज जिस दिन दे इंतज़ार विच सां, अज वो दिन आ गया है जो अफगानिस्तान दी पुरातन संस्था खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान दे 100 साल मनाए जा रहे हैं। अज दे प्रोग्राम विच जो प्लान होया सी, पहले प्रोग्राम विच असी अफगानिस्तान विच बचे कुछ अफगान हिंदू सिखां दी सिक्योरिटी अते उत्थे जो साढ़े गुरु अस्थान हैं, गुरुद्वारे मंदिर स्कूल शमशान घाट, उन्हां बारे आवाज़ उठानी सी ताकि इंटरनेशनल लेवल ते काबल दी सरकार ते भी प्रेशर पाया जावे तांजो साड़ी इतिहासक जगह की देखभाल हो सके। पर अनफॉर्चुनेटली के सीमा जी मल्होत्रा दी माता जी की डेथ अते कुछ होर MPs जो लेट आ रहे ने, रफली 4 बजे के आस पास असी अपने प्रोग्राम में थोड़ी जी तब्दीली आंदी है। और वो प्रोग्राम इस तरह है कि जड़ा पहला हिस्सा सी अज कॉन्फ्रेंस का कि असी आवाज़ उठानी सी, वो असी अपने दूजे हिस्से विच उस संबंधी MPs के सामने गल्लां करांगे। और तीजे पार्ट विच जो मेरी किताब का 5वां भाग का उद्घाटन हो रहा है वो भी होएगा।
I would wholeheartedly like to welcome everyone to the 100 Years of Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan conference. I'm proud to be standing here today to run although very briefly, through the 100 years of Khalsa Diwan, and also be proud to present to the thousands of people that are watching this as it is being broadcasted. Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan is a fundamental and crucial part of our community, which was inaugurated on the 22nd of January 1921. The first president of the charity was Bhai Sahib Singh Ji, and under his leadership, the first ever Amrit Sanchar, or in other words, Sikh initiation, took place. This established the foundations of Amritdhari Sikhism in Afghanistan, and for the first time in 1925, the Sikh community in Afghanistan were able to celebrate the formation of the Khalsa at Shri Chashma Sahib, a place where Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism, had historically visited. Some notable achievements under the first president, Bhai Sahib Singh Ji, included, but were not limited to, the first ever Nagar Kirtan procession in Kabul. Bhai Mangal Singh and Bhai Tara Singh Pishpalaki were invited in the Afghan assembly for the very first time. Widowed women were now finally allowed to remarry within the community. New schools were established in Sikh gurdwaras for many years to come. This ultimately laid the foundations of Khalsa Diwan for many years, and the charity was also given recognition by the Afghan government. Following Bhai Sahib Singh Ji's leadership, Gyani Darbari Singh Ji was elected thereafter, who was able to provide valuable knowledge to the community. Gyani Darbari Singh Ji was then succeeded by Babu Saran Singh Ji, who not only brought the community together, but also for the first time sent Bhai Jai Singh to the Afghan parliament, and for the very first time a turban Sikh was representing the community in the Afghan government. Harnam Singh Ji succeeded Gyani Darbari Singh Ji and continued the work of his predecessors in the midst of a civil war. He was then succeeded by Bhai Pyara Singh Darvesh, who was able to provide strong educational foundation with an aim of hoping to improve illiteracy in the community. This now brings us to present day, where Khalsa Diwan is under the leadership of Bhai Manohar Singh Ji, who alongside education is also providing immigration-related support to all Afghan Sikhs who are wishing to leave Afghanistan. Without a doubt, Khalsa Diwan has been a glimmer of hope for the minority in Afghanistan, and I hope this foundation, which has been continuing for the last 50 years, will live on and keep providing for the betterment of our community. Thank you.
माता दे मंदिर इस तालाब विखे सरबत आई हुई साध संगत हिंदू वीर सिख भाई माइया भाइयों नू दास दी तरफों वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह। जिवें कि होनी आप जी ने बच्ची तो इंग्लिश विच खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान दे इतिहास सुनिया, इस नू वधांदे होए जिथे असी खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान दी 101 वारी गंढ दे विचकार असी चल रहे हैं। सो इस वास्ते कि खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान किस तरह उसका उद्घाटन होया, उसकी की लोड़ सी, इस ते थोड़ी रोशनी पाई जाए तो इसने अगे जाके केड़े केड़े कामां नूं आगे ले जाए। अफगानिस्तान विच गुरु नानक देव जी दे 1521 विच आमद तो बाद गुरु नानक सिख ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਲੈਵਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਸਾਰੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸਨ। तो उस तो ਵੱਧਦੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਦਾਦ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਗਈ ਤੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਮੇਂ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਟੋਲੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸਨ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਸਨ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਜੋ ਸਿੱਖ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰਮਤ ਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ। जिस वक्त गुरु गोबिंद सिंह साहब जी समय तो बाद भी ये प्रचारक जथे आंदे गए ਅਤੇ अपना प्रचार करते रहे ताकि सिखा नूं सिखी उसूलों तो जानकारी या जानकार बना सकन। सो इस तहत 1918 विच अकाली कोर सिंह जी अफगानिस्तान विखे आए ਇੱਧਰ ਉੱਧਰ ਸਾਰੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਘੁੰਮਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਹੁਤ ਪਿਆਰ ਵਾਲੇ, ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਨਿਵਾਜ਼, ਨਿਸ਼ਕਾਮ ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰ ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਪੂਰੀ ਨਿਸ਼ਠਾ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਨ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਿਸ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਜਾਇਜ਼ਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਫਿਰ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ। ਸਿੱਖ ਲਹਿਰ ਜੋ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਸਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਦਾ ਧਾਰਨੀ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਤਹਿਤ ਅਕਾਲੀ ਕੌਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਫਰਵਰੀ 1920 ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਥੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਫਿਰ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਨੰਗਰਾਰ ਦੀ ਵਲਾਇਤ ਲਾਲਪੁਰਾ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਵਿਖੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨਾਂ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਮਸਾਜ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਸੀ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਸਨ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਧਰਮ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ। 10 ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ, 4 ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦਿਆਂ ਦਾ, ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇੱਥੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਤਿਆਰ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਪਾਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ। ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਸੰਚਾਰ 1920 ਫਰਵਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਇਆ ਅਤੇ 173 ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਪਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ।
डॉक्टर साहब कुलबीर दरवेश का यकजान तशक्कर। ख्वाहान बरदरान ग्रामी, डॉक्टर साहब कुलबीर सिंह दरवेश यकी शख्सियत های برازنده جامعه سیک افغانستان و هندو باوران افغانستان می باشند. اونا درباره تاریخچه خالصه دیوان و برآوردهای خالصه دیوان روی استیج اظهار نظر کردند. خالصه دیوان در سال 1921 تأسیس گردید. ما اولتر از همه 100 سالگی خالصه دیوان را برای تمام برادران سیک و هندو باور خود تبریک عرض می دارم و در جریان این 100 سال اینها یک تعداد کارهایی را کردند که در تغییر جامعه رول بزرگ داشت. یکی از مثال این قسم کارها پنربوا یا ازدواج دوباره می باشد. دیگر اینها در قسمت تبلیغ مذهب سیک کارهای بزرگی را انجام دادند. در قسمت اتحاد هندو و سیک های افغانستان اینها رول اهمی را بازی کردند و از عزت متعال برایشان کامیابی مزید آرزو می دارم. تشکر از توجهتان.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amranath Kakkar, for sharing your thoughts with us. हमें बहुत गर्व है कि आज हम खालसा दीवान अफ़गानिस्तान के गठन के 100 साल को सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं और इसी खुशी के अवसर पर हम अपने 2 धार्मिक नेताओं सिंह साहिब भाई दलेर सिंह खालसा जी और सिंह साहिब भाई गजिंदर सिंह खालसा जी को सम्मानित करेंगे। रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ सरदार रविल सिंह अरोड़ा जी का और सरदार अमृत सिंह पुनियानी जी का कि यहाँ पे मंच पर आके सरदार सिंह साहिब दलेर सिंह जी खालसा को सम्मानित करें। Can I request सरदार रविल सिंह अरोड़ा जी and सरदार अमृत सिंह पुनियानी जी, please?
And also we ask Manoj Singh to hand over the flower.
And can I please request Manoj Singh ji to hand over the flowers?
Ravil Singh ji. Ravil Singh. Ravil Singh, get the tissue joint.
Sat Sri Akal.
Nal kholo ji sahib.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। साथ संग जियो आप जी ने होने सत्कारयोग डॉक्टर कुलबीर सिंह जी पासों 100 साल खालसा दीवान का इतिहास सरवण किया। सो आप जैनू पूरी मालूमात दी। सत्संग जी सिर्फ 1-2 मिनट आप जी लेने हैं क्योंकि ज़्यादा आगे नहीं बढ़ांगे। सत्संग जी आज बड़ी खुशी की गल है कि आज इस इंग्लैंड की धरती ते असमाई मंदिर विच हिंदू भरा अते सिख भरावां ने मिल के एकत्रता की है अते समाजिक विचारां अते खालसा दीवान दे 100 साल वर्षगांठ की खुशी विच एक कॉन्फ्रेंस बुला के विचारां करेंगे। सो दास वो समा उलीकिया गया सी जो सतगुरु अगे अरदास है जो इसी तरह सारे वीरां नूं हौसला अफजाई बख्शे अते एकता इंतफाक बख्शे।
अब रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी सरदार हरबंस सिंह हांडा और सरदार पाल सिंह खनेजा जी को कि वो मंच पर आएं और आकर सिंह साहिब गजिंदर सिंह खालसा जी को सम्मानित करें। और साथ में रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी सरदार भजन सिंह कपूर जी का कि प्लीज़ कम एंड प्रेजेंट फ्लावर्स। थैंक यू।
बोले सोनेहाल
सत श्री अकाल।
गुरु रूप प्यारी साध संगत, साढ़े हिंदू भरा सिख भरा वख नुमाइंदगी विचों आए हुए सारिਆਂ ਨੂੰ फतेह के जाता हाँ। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। आप जी ने वख इतिहास 100 साल खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान का सरवण किया। खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान सेवावां जितनी सेवावां निभा रहे हैं वख शहरां विच वख कंट्रियां विच उत्थे जाके अपनी सेवा जारी रखी है। चाहे वो इंडिया विखे बच्चों नूं पढ़ाउण दा होवे, खयाती सिखलाई होवे या होर कारण होवन, खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान इस सेवावां विच तत्पर रहे हैं, सेवावां निभाते रहे हैं और इसी उम्मीद नाल हाँ कि अगे भी इसी तरह जितनी नवी पनीड़ी आउंदी रहे वो सेवावां करती रहे। साडे कोल होर कुछ ऐसा तो नहीं, सिख अरदास है उस सतगुर अगे अरदास करते हाँ कि जितनी भी नवी पनीड़ी है वो तन मन ते तन दे नाल हर एक तरह, क्योंकि एक चीज़ नाल नहीं चल सकते, इस सेवा विच तत्पर रहे। और खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान चाहे जिस कंट्री विच होवे उत्थे उन्हां नाल संपूर्ण तौर ते सहयोग दिता जाए।
परम सत्कारयोग गुरु रूप साध संगत जीओ, प्यार सहित फतेह की प्रवानगी बख्शनी। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। श्री होम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। परम सत्कारयोग गुरु रूप साध संगत जी, इस तो पहले कि मैं आप जी नाल अपने विचार साझे करा, इत्थे साढ़े बहुत ही महान शख्सियतां साढ़े मुआज़ज़ श्री वरिंदर जी शर्मा लॉर्ड जी ते इन्हीं आए हैं। तिन्हां नूं अज दी इस प्रोग्राम में जो गुरुद्वारा गुरु नानक दरबार जथा पंज प्यारे आसमाई कल्चरल ट्रस्ट वालों ते समूह अफगानिस्तान दे हिंदू ਅਤੇ सिखा वालों आया जी आया नूं कहंदा होया फतेह बुलांदा हाँ। वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। साध संगत जी, ਅੱਜ ਇਸ ਮਾਹੌਲ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ 10 ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਯਾਦ ਆ ਗਈ। ਜਿਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਸਨੀਕ ਸਾਂ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਾਡਾ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੋਈ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਹੈ, ਚਾਹੇ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਦੇ ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ, ਚਾਹੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਮਤ ਜਾਂ ਸਨਾਤਨੀ ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੁਲਕ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਜ਼ਾਰਾ ਸ਼ੀਆ ਤਾਜਕ ਸਾਰੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ, ਅਸੀਂ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆਏ ਬੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਨਾਲ ਮਨਾਉਂਦੇ ਆਏ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਿਕਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਚਸ਼ਮਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸੁਲਤਾਨਪੁਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਲੀਕੇ ਗਏ ਸਨ, ਉਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਕੇਵਲ ਤੋਂ ਕੇਵਲ ਇਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਨ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਉਲੀਕਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹੈ। ਉਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਖੇਮੇ ਤੰਬੂ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਸਾਂ, ਉੱਥੇ ਮੰਦਰ ਵੀ ਬਣਦਾ ਸੀ ਅਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਸਰੂਪ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਮਿਲ ਕੇ ਮਨਾਉਂਦੇ।
Good afternoon, Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, and a very warm welcome to the National Conference supporting Afghan Sikhs and Hindu minorities in Afghanistan and United Kingdom. This event has been organized by Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan and Assamai Cultural Trust. Thank you to you all for joining us here and being a part of this very significant conference. We hope this conference will raise the awareness upon the prevalent issues and voice concerns in relation to safeguarding religious freedom, security and safety of Afghan Sikhs and Hindus in Afghanistan. Furthermore, lobby and seek laws from Afghan government against illegal selling, encroachment and confiscation of religious and communal properties of Afghan Sikhs and Hindus, religious institutes and individuals. We are celebrating, which we have done, a wonderful achievement of 100 years of the formation of Khalsa Diwan in Afghanistan. I also want to say congratulations to Dr. Joginder Singh, who is the co-founder of charity Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan UK, as he is launching his new book. Afghanistan was a home to many of us, Sikhs and Hindu communities, who have lived in Afghanistan for centuries, dating back to 16th century. It was not always a country raided with terror and in a constant state of war, as many may portray it now. The Sikhs and Hindu communities have lived in Afghanistan for centuries and played a prominent role in merchant trade. Afghan Sikhs and Hindus that are being isolated now were a large part of the success and stability of the economy, and most of the trade came from those minorities. We are all aware of the current devastation Afghanistan is facing. According to the National Council of Afghan Hindu and Sikhs, it's estimated that the community now numbers fewer than 100 members compared with around 220,000 members before the collapse of Kabul government in 1992. Afghan Sikhs and Hindu families sought refuge in other countries during the civil war due to restriction on the practice of their faith. Although the Afghan constitution allows citizens the right to follow their own religion, Sikhs and Hindus face discrimination, harassment, and violence. The government has been ineffective in protecting minorities from harassment. Religious practice of Sikhs and Hindus, such as cremation of the dead, are limited or restricted by local authorities and the public. A growing concern for those minorities remaining in Afghanistan is their religious architecture, both temples and gurudwaras. During the attack, most took shelter and refuge in these holy places to protect themselves. Unfortunately, under the current law of the state, the rights of minority religions are not protected. Sikhs and Hindu communities continue to be stripped of their housing and land that they have occupied for centuries. Their infrastructure and architecture are not protected and now could be endangered and be destroyed at any given moment. These structures not only hold a lot of cultural significance, but also hold history, decades, if not century-old religious building, giving culture a way of life and preserving memories of a great civilization. It is very important to preserve architectural heritage as it ensures that present and future generation can experience and enjoy the physical expression of a successful past generation. The preservation of these monuments and religious buildings tells a story and still is significant for the thousands of Sikhs and Hindus who have left their home in Afghanistan to seek a refuge elsewhere. Those religious buildings represent their presence, legacy, and a proud history of Afghanistan. I hope this conference unites us and brings us together with a shared goal, purpose, and empowers all with the way forward. Thank you all for listening. And I now welcome Komal to take over the stage.
Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. सारी संगत मेरे नाल जयकारे दी परवान करो जयकारा मां शेरां वाली दा बोल साचे दरबार की जय. Good afternoon. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are pleased to be able to welcome those of you who have been with us for a very long time, as well as those who are new to the community and the association. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate everybody celebrating Eid today. So, Eid Mubarak. Thank you very much for agreeing to participate in our campaign to voice concern, safeguarding religious freedom, security and safety for Afghan Hindus and Sikhs. Your commitment is an encouragement to our mission and a real contribution in the fight against illegal selling, encroachment, and confiscation of religious and communal properties of Afghan Hindus and Sikh minorities. We deeply appreciate your support for our cause, your contribution, and your attendance today. The last few months, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, has been very, very tough in Afghanistan. Dealing with everyday difficulties was hard enough for the citizens of Afghanistan. And then the hardline Islamist Taliban took over Afghanistan last year, almost 20 years after being ousted by the US-led military coalition. There's food crisis. More than a third of people can't meet their basic needs and economy is struggling, as foreign aid and cash dried up with when Taliban took power. Women's rights are restricted. They have been ordered to cover their faces in public, and teenage girls have not been allowed to go back to school. And guess what? Along with the current devastation in the country, a powerful earthquake struck shortly after 1:30 a.m. Wednesday, the 22nd of June. That was 9 p.m. on Tuesday here, as people slept, which has killed, ladies and gentlemen, 1,000 people and injured 1,500 in the eastern Afghanistan. Hundreds of houses were destroyed by the magnitude of 6.1 event, which occurred at the depth of 51 kilometers, that is 32 miles. The earthquake struck about 44 kilometers from the city of Khost, and tremors were felt as far as Pakistan and India. Witnesses reported feeling the quake in both Afghanistan's capital city Kabul and Pakistan capital Islamabad. It's very sad. And I don't know how to say this, but most of the dead were very, very young children. The local hospital just did not have enough capacity to deal with the disaster. Okay, now it gets worse. There are no official aid workers, but people from neighboring cities and villages came here to rescue people. So could I kindly request 1 minute of silence conducted to honor and provide a gesture of respect to the recently deceased innocent lives of men, women and children as part of a mourning process. मेरा आप सबसे अनुरोध है कि आप अपनी अपनी जगह पर विराजमान होकर 1 मिनट का मौन करने की कृपा करें. And if we're all ready, time starts now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please, आप अपनी अपनी जगह पर विराजमान हो जाइए. I have more bad news. On June 18th, gunmen launched an attack on Gurdwara in Karte Parwan in Afghanistan capital city, killing 2 people. 7 attackers tried to storm into the temple in the early hours of Saturday morning, throwing grenades at security guards who were standing at the entrance. Religious minority groups like Hindus and Sikhs have been target of violence in this country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, tweeted late Saturday that he's shocked by the cowardly terrorist attack against the Karte Parwan Gurdwara in Kabul. Ladies and gentlemen, despite this barbaric attack, Afghan Hindus and Sikhs got together in brotherhood and raised 1.1 million Afghanis for a poor Muslim brother, Ahmed Jan, who also lost his life in this attack. In Hinduism and in Sikhism, we believe that the life has to go through 8.4 million species before eventually returning back to its human body, depending on its karmic reactions. हिंदू धर्म में हमारी मान्यता है कि किसी भी जीव को 84 लाख योनियों से निकल के जाना पड़ता है, तब जाके उनको एक इंसान का जन्म प्राप्त होता है. Therefore, as Hindus and Sikhs believe that preservation of life and helping the needy is our prime dharma. In other words, is our prime human duty. And we will not take a step back, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what we are here for, to stand together. We believe that all lives matter, and we should always lend a helping hand to those who are in need, as we are all brothers and sisters despite of our religion. Thank you very much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thanks a lot, Gormal, for your very powerful and passionate speech on the current situation in Afghanistan. I would now like to welcome Mr. Purmi Singh, a well-renowned and well-respected community leader.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, as a Sikh, I would like to welcome you on this event from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of all Afghan, Sikhs, Hindus and Muslim communities for the occasion of 100 years of Khalsa Diwan. So I welcome you all and starts with Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Pyar Bari Ram Ram, Assalamu Alaikum, and a very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is very important for any community to flourish. It requires a three element. One, dedication. Second, honesty. And third is young vision, which we call our youngsters. It is important that we promote our youngsters to come forward and take the front seats and lead our community to a new chapter within United Kingdom and internationally. I start with distinguished guest, Right Honourable Lord Joginder Singh, Sahib Mohtaram Khalil Sahib from Afghan Embassy, Right Honourable MP Virendra Sharma Sahib, and Baroness Kawaljeet Kaur Ji. It's an honour to have you all here to celebrate 100 years of Khalsa Diwan and its remarkable service to Sikh community in Afghanistan and now in the United Kingdom. I've been working very closely with the Khalsa Diwan since being selected as a committee member and a spokesperson and a public relation officer for Gurdwara Guru Nanak Darbar, also known as GGND, based in Southall, London, United Kingdom. Since then, and I, myself, and Mr. Bhajan Singh Kapoor been working and dedicating our services to our communities. Khalsa Diwan has been an asset and a well-respected institution both religiously and politically within our community. Khalsa Diwan's resilience and defiance to bring change and stand to Afghan Sikhs and to promote Sikh principles in Afghanistan have been a pivotal element to our Afghan society. On behalf of Afghan community, Sikh, Hindu, and Muslim communities, I would like to welcome Lord Joginder Singh and we would like to honor him for his services to the community, and Baroness Kawaljeet Kaur, who has been also working very closely with myself to raise awareness of the issues Afghanistan is currently facing on an international world. Thank you. Please give us a big applause. Thank you.
Bole so nihal.
Thank you.
Bole so nihal.
Thank you very much indeed, Premi, for this invitation to come to this wonderful event. And it's such a heartwarming thing to see people from so many different backgrounds. It feels almost as though we're sitting in Shore Bazaar in Kabul with all of our different communities coming together, and how important that is, especially so at the current moment when the news from Afghanistan and indeed from the wider region is so relentlessly sad and depressing, most especially for you with your connections and your families and your histories and your cultures to that region, but also for people like me who have been, in many senses, brought up in that region. I've been travelling to there since 1995. And it's also remarkable to think that over the past 100 years, the transformations that has affected Afghan society in Afghanistan. 100 years ago, in a city in Afghanistan, in Kabul, in Herat, in Kandahar, in Jalalabad and Mazar-e-Sharif. The bazaars were teeming not only with Muslims speaking different backgrounds, but also Armenians, Christians, Jewish people, as well as Hindus and Sikhs, forming a society that was able to interact, and people were able to have relationships across boundaries.
First of all, can I thank you, Sardar Premi Singh, for your very kind two introductions and honouring. And friends, I'd like to thank the organisers for your kindness in inviting me. It's wonderful to follow such eloquent speeches from the ladies here. It was really very impressive. And my congratulations on the 100th anniversary of the formation of the Khalsa Diwan in Afghanistan. History records that the Indian subcontinent was repeatedly invaded by Afghan armies bent on looting and carrying off captives for the slave and sex trade. There was very little resistance until the rule of Maharaja Ranjit Singh in the Punjab in the 1800s. He fought the marauding Afghans and freeing captives. After prolonged fighting, Sikh forces entered Kabul itself, but instead of acting vindictively, true to Sikh teachings, they showed respect to the Afghans and their places of worship. Trade and mutual respect led to the settlement of many thousands of Sikhs and Hindus in Afghanistan. And of course, as we've heard, a flourishing trade. And they were excelled, the Sikhs and Hindus excelled in the export business and were known for their honesty. Hindus and Sikhs community, the Hindu and Sikh community continued to enjoy relative freedom and respect for some years. On Vaisakhi, Shabads like Awalala Nurupaya, emphasizing the oneness of all humanity, were sung on state television. A thriving Sikh population of some 40,000 to 60,000 was initially reduced to simply a few hundred. And now, after the retreat of the British and American forces last year, has been reduced to a few families clinging on to a diminished hope for a better future. Here I'd like to pay tribute to the work of the Global Sikh Council, with affiliates in some 30 countries, including the NSO in the UK, with my wife, Kavaljit, as elected president. Sardar Paramjit Singh Bedi, chair of the Global Sikh Council Afghan Affairs Committee, worked tirelessly in lobbying governments of India, Canada, and other more affluent countries for their safe passage to and resettlement. Finally, I'd like to mention what I think is appropriate, a story of Guru Nanak going into 2 villages, and in his preaching, he went to the first village. They were very rude to him, and they said, "Go away, we don't want to hear anything." And he went on to the second village. Then, and they were very hospitable, very decent, wanting to learn, wanting to listen. So, in the evening, he did a das and said, "Bless the people in the first village. May you always stay there and prosper where you are." To the second village, the ones that had treated him very well, he said, "May you spread, go from here and spread in all different directions." What he wanted to do was to spread the goodness of their teachings, their way of life, to other parts of the world. Now, by chance, we have been thrown out of, whether it was India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, we're all been spread out. But we have our message with us, our way of life, the tolerance, respect for others, working for the betterment of society. And here as we are in the UK and wherever we are, we must make that our life mission, to create a better society, to put these teachings right to the fore in everything that is done in this country or wherever we go. Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.
Many thanks, Lord Inderjeet Singh, for the informative talk, sharing your point of view. We really appreciate your thoughts. I would now like to welcome the next speaker, Mr. Bharat Chitkara, our inspirational president of Assamai Cultural Trust.
Respected community members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I, Bharat Chitkara, the current president of Assamai Culture Trust in UK, have been working for this trust as a volunteer from last 21 years. And I have served as a trustee of this trust for the last 8 years. Today, we at Assamai Culture Trust are honored to welcome the respected MPs, Afghanistan Embassy officials UK, being a part of Afghan Hindu Sikh National Conference. Afghan Hindu Sikh unity is a history created by our ancestors, as we lived in Afghanistan for centuries and were part of each other's grief and celebrated our festive and happiness together. It is our honorable and cultural duty to convey the message of togetherness and unity to our future generations. Today, our community is spread all over the world and practice our culture and religious events in a similar manner that we celebrate in Afghanistan. We are proud to follow our ancestors' thoughts and beliefs and would work to keep their thoughts and values alive. I would like to thank my all community members, especially Dr. Amarnath Kakkarji, for handing me over this responsibility to serve my community and carry the responsibilities of this trust. I look forward to work together as a team with the co-founder of Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan, Dr. Joginder Singh Khurana-ji and his team, as he worked together with Dr. Amarnath Kakkar in the past. At the end, I thank all the present members of taking their time in this wonderful weekend and supporting us. Many thanks. Jai Mata Di Ji. And also now I would like to call Dr. Amarnath Ji Kakkar to come over the stage and say a few words about our community center.
Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We, the members of Assamai Culture Trust, are privileged and honored to welcome Honorable MP Mr. Virendra Sharma, Lord Inderjeet Singh, Honorable Kamaljeet Kaur, Afghanistan Embassy officials, community leaders, and community members. We welcome you and thank you for participating in Afghan Hindu and Sikh National Conference. The history books of Afghanistan will reveal the significant contribution of Afghan Hindus and Sikhs to the development of Afghanistan. We as a minority community were active contributors to various sectors of the society. We provided numerous professionals into fields of medicine, finance, economics, education, engineering, and many more. We were considered as one of the pillars of economic infrastructure in Afghanistan. We can always remember the impact of Diwan Niranjan Das as a finance minister in Amir Abibullah Khan Kingdom and as an active member of Afghan delegation during the Afghanistan Independence Agreement in 1919. We can't forget the contribution of Professor Dr. Bal Mukandas, one of the founders of forensic medicine in Afghanistan. Rais Hukum Chand, a significant contributor to the banking and economic reforms. We always had a prominent social, political personalities such as Hira Singh Rais ji, Jai Singh Fani, MP Joginder Singh ji, Dr. Anarkali Unariyar, who served the community and cared about the betterment of the society. As we settled in different parts of the world, we haven't forgotten the teaching of our forefathers and are active contributors to the society. Through this platform and today's conference, we wish to raise our voice and hope that our MPs, embassy members, the press can convey our message of safeguarding the few remaining Hindus and Sikhs in Afghanistan. Our religious places need to be protected, as those places carry a lot of sentiments, memories, and overall our religious beliefs. Our brain, heart, and soul can't accept any disrespect to those religious places. Although we are away from our motherland, a piece of our heart still resides in Afghanistan. Finally, a big prayer for peaceful Afghanistan and solidarity between all the nations residing in Afghanistan. Can I also use this platform to convey the message of unity between Afghan Hindu Sikhs all over the world? Great respect to all the participants, and thank you for your attention. मैं 2 मिनट वास्ते अपनी पंजाबी भाषा बोल सा। जिस समय डॉक्टर साहब गजेंद्र सिंह जी ने एक प्रपोजल मेरे सामने रखा जो असी एक कॉन्फ्रेंस करने वाले हैं, तो मैं काफ़ी ना तो प्रोस्पेक्ट अच्छा लग गया। मैं 1 मिनट भी नहीं लगाया उस देश का सोचने का, अपनी प्रबंधक कमेटी ने गल करके इस जो प्रपोजल है इसकी मंजूर की था, क्योंकि सानू एक बहाना चाहिए वे अपने यूनिटी बनाने का। तो अगर ये जे बहाने सानू मिलते रह सन कि असी अपने सिख भरावां की अपने मंदिर इनविटेशन देसी इनवाइट कर सी हैं, तो अगर असी गुरुद्वारे इनवाइट किए जा सी हैं, तो साड़ी कम्यूनिटी की जो दूरियां पैदा हो गई हों वो दूरियां ख़त्म हो जा सन। क्योंकि आज इस जितने भी कहीं असी इकट्ठे हैं मन लगता नहीं, क्योंकि साढ़ा आना जाना घट गया है। लेकिन अगर कम्यूनिटी लीडर यदि पहल कर सन, यदि सारी चीज़ें साढ़े बच्चों वास्ते जा सन, साढ़े बच्चे इस लैसन लै सन। आज अगर असी दूर रहने, कल में साढ़े बच्चे कितने नज़दीक आ सकते हैं कुछ नहीं कह सकते, क्योंकि साढ़े इकट्ठ होने जगह मंदिर या गुरुद्वारे हों। तो सानू अपने मंदिर के गुरुद्वारे के स्टेज प्लेटफॉर्म ते अपने धार्मिक ग्रंथों ते एज अ वे ऑफ लाइफ जो सानू एक अच्छे रस्ते दिखाते हों, उन्होंने उत्ते रहनुमाई करिए तो साढ़े बच्चे नज़दीक रह सन, साढ़े अच्छी शिक्षा लै सकन। इस करके मेरी सारे जेडे कि साढ़े लीडर साहिबान उन्होंने को यदि बिनती रहसी जो ये जे बहाने तलाश करन जो असी आ सकें, जो तुसी आ सको। तो असी जो अफगानिस्तान का जो हरबंस सिंह आंडे जी ने पहले कह चुके हैं कि सुल्तानपुर का मेला वो जी सीन असी दोबारा क्रिएट कर सकें, अपने काबुल मंदिर काबुल के गुरुद्वारे की सीन दोबारा असी क्रिएट कर सकें आने बच्चों मिलाने वास्ते। थैंक यू। तो मैं नाले धन्यवाद करसा वंदना जी, कोमल जी, तो साड़ी 2 भैन जो गुरुद्वारा साहिब विचों थे प्रोग्राम में प्रेजेंट करने वास्ते आई हैं। इन्होंने काफ़ी डिफरेंट तौर पर जो काफ़ी अमेजिंग आया आज के प्रोग्राम थी प्रेजेंट की, तो ने ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਰੱਖੀ ਨੇ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਦੀ ਹਿਸਟਰੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਰੱਖੀ ਨੇ, ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਦਿਲਚਸਪ, ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਅਮੇਜ਼ਿੰਗ। ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ। ਜੈਕਾਰਾ ਮਾਂ ਸ਼ੇਰਾਂ ਵਾਲੀ ਦਾ, ਬੋਲ ਸਾਚੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਕੀ ਜੈ।
Thank you so much, Dr. Ramannath Kakkarji, for sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate you and everything you do. Your selfless commitment to the community is truly incredible. Thanks once again. I would now like to welcome our next speaker, the well-respected Mr. Bhajan Singh Kapoor, Chairman of Khalsa Diwan, Afghanistan. Mr. Kapoor is very much appreciated. Mr. Kapoor is very much appreciated by all. He is an excellent leader, motivator, and inspires all. He is very hardworking, passionate with his work, and in raising awareness of the current situation the Sikhs and Hindus are facing in Afghanistan. His guidance and advice for the community is invaluable. Please welcome Mr. Bhajan Singh Kapoor. Thanks.
I am just a humble servant trying to serve my community. Sat Sangat ji, Waheguru ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru ji ki Fateh. Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan welcomes all the esteemed guests presiding in this conference. Distinguished among them, the honorable representatives of Embassy of Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, honorable members of both houses of British Parliament, mayors and councillors, representatives of various charities and organizations, and remarkable personalities of our own Afghan community. We would have had Ms. Seema Malhotra today, who has been working relentlessly with Khalsa Diwan from last 10 years, but because of her family bereavement, she could not make it. And at the end of my speech, I will pass her message to yourselves. We have among us Mr. Virender Sharma ji, Member of Parliament from Southall, who has always been supporting our good causes and stood with us shoulder to shoulder. We are also graced with the presence of Lord Inderjeet Singh ji and Baroness Kamaljeet Kaur ji in attending and supporting our just causes. Mayor of London could not attend due to his very busy schedule and has replied with his best wishes for this conference. I request the audience to give a big round of applause for welcoming our esteemed guests. Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan is a unified organization of Afghan Sikhs and Hindus scattered all over the world, and it is a symbol of Afghan unity and solidarity. And what would be a better example than the 100 years of Khalsa Diwan's formation are being celebrated in a Asamai Mandir in London. We thank you all for joining us today with the objective to find solutions about our problems and create awareness about the displacement of Afghan Sikhs and Hindus minorities from Afghanistan. There have been targeted attacks on Sikh temples in Kabul, again resulting in loss of lives of defenseless devotees. Afghan Sikhs and Hindus are known to be peaceful citizens, having no alliance with any extreme religious or political ideology. They pray for a peaceful, prosperous, and progressive Afghanistan. This senseless violence against them is cowardice, and we condemn it in its strongest words. We are thankful to the Taliban government for providing relief funds for the victims of this violence. Taliban government have acted promptly for the reconstruction of Gurdwara Karte Parwan, which is also commendable. This attack begets the question, why these attacks on Sikh place of worship and killing of innocent people from so many years? Sikhs believe in one God. They believe that he is the master of the whole universe. We also get our teachings from the sacred Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and our holy book also preaches of only one God and respect for human life. Our book also addresses God as Allah numerous times. I want to share a piece of history with the perpetrators of these crimes. It is about the most revered and holy site for Sikhs all around the world, the Golden Temple, Shri Harmandir Sahib, translated as the abode of God, home of Allah. They should know that Guru Arjan Sahib Ji, the fifth Guru, requested a Muslim saint, Mian Mir Sahib Ji, to lay the foundation stone of this holy site. This is the greatest and only example of its kind that the most revered holy place of worship of Sikhs, the center of Sikhism, had its foundation stone laid by a Muslim saint. Please remember that Harmandir Sahib has the same significance for Sikhs as Muslims have for Makkah and Medina, Christians have for Vatican, and our Hindu brothers have for Kanshi, Mathura, Haridwar, and Varanasi. Khalsa Diwan wants to give the same message of solidarity and brotherhood. I request Afghan TV channels to broadcast a program about this historic fact and help trying to bonds between religions so that this message goes through. Afghan Hindus and Sikhs have been displaced from their homeland due to this unending discrimination, targeted killings, and religious persecution. We call upon the British government to help Afghan Sikhs and Hindus, refugees, settle in the United Kingdom and rebuild their broken lives. We call for immediate decisions of their asylum claims and help them integrate in the UK society. We call upon the British government to evacuate Afghan Sikhs and Hindus who want to leave Afghanistan. British government have programs in place for evacuation of Afghans who were employed by the British forces, but no program for vulnerable minorities who have been slaughtered many a times. At the same time, we call upon the Taliban government to create an environment of safety and security so that all Afghans, including Afghan Sikhs and Hindus who have been living in Afghanistan from centuries, return and contribute to the progress and reconstruction of Afghanistan. We call upon the Taliban government to pass laws banning confiscation, encroachment, and illegal selling of properties of Afghan Sikhs and Hindu religious institutions and individuals who are forced to flee Afghanistan due to years of war and turmoil. Without such law, hard-earned assets and minorities and our this extensive heritage will have no protection against greed of powerful individuals, especially when these people and these institutions have been who have left Afghanistan. We call upon the Taliban government to please declare an amnesty for everyone who has been against you over the past. The world is watching. Afghanistan and each and every citizen's safety is now your responsibility. We have won the war, and now it's your sacred duty to administer rule of law and make Afghanistan safe and secure, especially for minorities, and lead Afghanistan on a journey to progress. It's now your responsibility to banish poverty, illiteracy, and lawlessness. I request all guests and honorable speakers to shift our focus away from criticism, failings, or shortcomings of present and previous governments. Sole purpose of today's conference is to unite and show solidarity towards a better and progressive attitude towards Afghanistan and its minority religious groups. We crave for Afghanistan where there should be no discrimination, where there should be harmony and tolerance, where there should be peaceful coexistence. We have to have a progressive and constructive approach. Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan was formed 100 years ago, and today we commemorate that event and reaffirm that Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan is dedicated to serve our society, support literacy, eradicate poverty, and advocate equal rights for everyone, irrespective of race, religion, color, or creed. We have to give a message of solidarity and unity to all in attendance. We seek your progressive ideas and suggestions for helping the cause of forgotten Afghan Hindus and Sikhs. I congratulate Dr. Joginder Singh for accomplishing the task of compiling Afghanistan's rich history of Hindus and Sikhs from centuries in his 5-volume of books. I thank Sardar Harbhajan Singh Ji Nagpal and Ji Manohar Singh Ji for lobbying with Indian Prime Minister's office and getting help and support for Afghan Sikhs and Hindus living in India and evacuation of stranded Afghan Sikhs and Hindus from Kabul. I thank President Mr. Bharat Chitkara, Mr. Ashok Basin, Dr. Amarnath Kakkarji, and Chuni Lal Ji, and the management and trustees of Asamai Mandir who have helped and organized this national conference and have always stood with Khalsa Deen Afghanistan over so many years. I thank you all for joining us today, and please forgive me for any mistakes. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thanks to Mr. Bhajan Singh Kapoor for informing us the issues Afghan and Sikhs are facing and sharing his thoughts. I would now like to invite the Labour MP of Ealing, Southall, the Right Honourable Virender Sharma to come on stage and share a few words. Please.
Now, I think that I need to congratulate, first of all, to the local community for organizing such a great event. When I was young, about 55 years ago, that was the spirit here, what you have recreated. In Southall, this is a very old practice that Hindus and the Sikhs always shared the worship place for the betterment of the community. It was a little break for some little time, not for long, but you have recreated that. As a local member of parliament, this is taking place in my own constituency. Naturally, it gives me extra pleasure to welcome you here. I'm aware, I have raised the questions in the parliament. I did have a lot of criticisms from one section of the community for raising those questions, not our community, the people who were beneficiary from the other side. But this is the fight we have to take. The fight always with the first generation, because there's always a divided emotional attachments. You come here, so you need to have a responsibility in both here and back Afghanistan with the community, what is happening. We, as a British parliamentarians, have a responsibility when the question of human rights, wherever the violation is taken place, you raise it, fight for it. And I can assure, I have worked with the community for many, many years. Even before I was a member of parliament, I have worked with the local community, have raised the issues, even when I had to go to John MacDonald, my colleague from Hythe and Harlington, to fight for the cases on the immigration and the rights of the Afghan community. I can assure you that as an elected member or as a part of the local community, I will carry on fighting for the rights of all the minority communities here and wherever there is a violation of human rights to carry on. Today, congratulations and thank you very much for the Asamai Temple Management Committee and everybody else to organizing this event here and giving us the opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just 1 minute. Please, just 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Virendra Sharma, to share your thoughts. Can I please request Sardar Harinder Singh Sidhana and Sardar Amrit Singh to please, Amrit Singh Lambaji, to honor Mr. Sharma.
Bole Sonaha.
Thank you.
Can I please request Dr. Amarnath Ji Kakkar to please come on the stage and honor Mr. Virendra Sharma Ji on behalf of Asamai Cultural Trust.
Thank you very much once again for honoring me. I always get that honor from the Khalsa Diwan as well as from Asamai Temple. But today is the special, my Lord. So in your presence, I'm getting it. So I say so kind of you. Thank you very much for everybody.
Thank you.
And my apologies.
Thank you so much, Virendra Sharma Ji. I would just like to mention a few points that are sent from Ms. Seema Malhotra Ji, the Member of Parliament for Heston and Hounslow. She is very sorry for not being able to be here with us today because, as we know, some of us, that her mother passed away recently, so she couldn't join us. But she has sent us some messages saying that she's grateful for the ongoing work and the conference, and she says that she wants to show her support through this message for everyone and everything that we're doing here. She has also said that the cases we are still raising in Parliament and supporting hundreds of local families through raising cases and meetings with ministers, the work that they have done to reduce need for English language tests for visa applications and working on easing biometric test requirements. That much more needs to be done as well to support minorities in Afghanistan, and our pain at the recent attack on Gurdwara in Kharta Parwan, which she raised immediately in the UK Foreign Office Minister. She also looks forward to hearing outcomes from today and to continue working together. And she particularly likes to thank Asamai Trust, Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan, and to all organizers and to Professor Bediji. With that being said, I would now like to invite the member of Afghan Embassy, Razi Eklilji, to please come on the stage and share some thoughts with us.
Honorable Lords, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. First of all, I would like to convey the message of His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Zulmay Rasool on the occasion of Eid Mubarak to everyone, and mostly to our Sikh and Hindu brothers and sisters. The Embassy of Afghanistan in London is home for every one of us here in United Kingdom, and it's an honor for us being to serve our compatriots. Thank you for inviting us. و در نخست از همه یک قرن تاریخ با شکوه و فعالیت با افتخار خلص دیوان را خدمت همه حاضرین این مجلس تبریک عرض میکنم. امروز جای خوشی و افتخار است که من در میان شما قرار دارم و خاطره زیبایی از تنوع فرهنگ زیبای خود از افغانستان برای من یک بار دیگه زنده میشه. In Afghanistan, Afghan Sikh and Hindus are indeed a small community, but they are well established. The rich history of Afghan Sikh stretching back to the 15th centuries, as previously mentioned by other guest speakers. The rich history of during 90s, there were around 200,000 to 300,000 residents who played the key role in the country's commerce and financial trade. Once upon a time, Afghanistan was not so unkind to its Hindus and Sikhs nationals. We had great relationship with them. I remember a personal childhood memory. My father was a police officer in the government, and he had a driver. His name was Man Singh, and he was, we were calling Kokolola. And mostly on the occasion of like this Eid and Visaks, Nowruz, Diwali, he was coming to our home with his family, and he was preparing samosas and spicy foods in the homes. And we had so great bond of, we loved him more than our blood bond uncles. And we had a colorful mixed life community. Also, most of us knows about the history of in addition to the protection of minority, a comprehensive law must be passed to protect and support their fundamental rights, promote them, and consider their violations as crime. Respecting and ensuring the basic rights of all religious minorities in Afghanistan is not against any law in Afghanistan. And from the Islamic point of view, religious minorities in any Islamic countries, mostly in Afghanistan, have the rights that Muslims are obliged to observe. در اخیر افتخارات را که استادان و نویسندگان جامعه سیک و هندو باورمان دست از فعالیت‌های علمی و تحقیقاتی در کشور انگلستان هم نکشیده و کتابی از فرهنگ با شکوه خود و تاریخ که بیانگر تاریخ زنده از اینا برای نسل‌های جوان و آینده ایشان است به نشر رسانده. برای دکتر صاحب گجندر سنگ یک بار دیگر از صمیم قلب تبریک عرض میکنم و از بزرگواران و برگزار کنندگان از این مجلس به خصوص آقای کپور، دکتر صاحب و دیگر کسایی که در برگزاری از این محفل یا کنفرانس سهیم بودن اظهار سپاس امتنان میکنم. Long live Afghanistan, زنده باد افغانستان.
Thank you, sir, for the very inspiring words you shared with us today. I would now like to invite Ms. Asya Shapurji, the founder of Afghan Academy, who is currently an academic doing research on Afghan narrative and is in search for peace. In the past, she was a part of a radio station called Afghan Variety Show, and in present, she's working on a TV program. Ms. Asya ji, please take over the stage.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, honorable guests and brothers and sisters. First of all, I would like to convey my Eid's greetings, Eid Mubarak to everyone of you, and congratulations on this conference on the achievements for 100 years. It's 100 years passes quickly, but the amount of work which is embedded in these 100 years will last generations. And I am very honored to be here. Thank you for your invitations. And I'm very honored to also meet so many flowers of Afghanistan coming together in this garden under a ceiling which hopefully one day will shine over and sort of promote what Afghanistan means. Afghanistan means peace. Afghanistan means unity. Afghanistan is a big garden of many flowers which have been dispersed throughout the world. Although we say we belong to Afghanistan, but maybe this is our fate to actually extend what Afghanistan can actually bring to the world. We always need to actually try to bring positivity. That's what I believe in. Whatever war we went through for over now years, decades, 50 years now almost, we still stand next to each other. Is this not amazing? This is the most beautiful feeling I get from this, from being here. And I'm very honored and very sort of grateful for Khalsa Divan Afghanistan, who have actually become a partner, collaborator in the Afghanistan Library and Peace Center, which we have launched 2 years ago. Afghan Academy International has been in existence since the 1980s, early 1980s. Myself coming in Britain in 91, I have become a co-founder of it, and I have actually tried to promote peace, education, culture, arts, and community cohesion, for which our organization stands. And we're very sort of honored to have Khalsa Divan Afghanistan as one of our partner organizations in this huge journey that we have got still to embark on. We are not finished. We haven't finished our journey. Do you believe it or not? 100 years, and still we're carrying on, because war is easy, but maintaining peace is one of the challenges that we have got in front of us. You can get enemies very quickly, but having friends for life and extending your family, becoming brothers and sisters for life, this is, I think, the most beautiful which we need to extend to all the families, all the generations, as well as others, non-Afghans. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much for your invitation, and thank you.
Just 1 minute.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was an honor to have you here today. ਹੁਣ ਮੈਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਸਵਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬਿੰਦਰਾ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਂਝੇ
ਫਤਿਹ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨਗੀ ਹੋਵੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਦੇ ਸਥਾਪਨਾ ਦੀ 101 ਵਰ੍ਹੇਗੰਢ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਨਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੜੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਕਾਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਅਤੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਦੀ ਏਕਤਾ ਅਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਧਾਰਮਿਕ ਜਿਤਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਉਲੀਕਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ। ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਦੇ ਜਿਤਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਤਹਿ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜੋ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਜੋ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਮੇਰੀ ਉਮਰ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਬੈਠੇ ਹੋ ਸਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੜੀ ਕਠਿਨਾਈਆਂ ਦੇ ਦੌਰ ਤੋਂ ਲੰਘੇ ਹਨ। ਦਾਸ ਨੇ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਰਥਿਕ ਜਿਤਨੀ ਵੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਉਸ ਪਾਸੇ ਵੱਲ ਨਾ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਵੀ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲਾਤਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਦਿਨ ਦੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਲਾਲਾਬਾਦ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਵੇਰੇ 7 ਵਜੇ ਦੁਕਾਨਾਂ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਸਨ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਦਿਨ ਦੇ 11 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲਾਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਮੀਟਿੰਗਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਨ। ਗੌਰਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਮੀਟਿੰਗਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਮਾਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਤਨੀਆਂ ਕਮੀਆਂ ਸਨ ਉਹ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਜਾਣ। ਨਾਲੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਮਾਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਤਨੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮਾਂ ਸਨ ਉਹ ਦੂਰ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜਾਣ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਤਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਹਿੰਮਤ ਬਖਸ਼ੇ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੂਰਨਿਆਂ ਤੱਕ ਜਾ ਸਕੀਏ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੂਰਨਿਆਂ 'ਤੇ ਚੱਲ ਸਕੀਏ। ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਉਹ ਕਾਬਿਲ ਮਤਲਬ ਭੁੱਲਣ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਨ, ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਸਨ। ਦੂਜੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਜੋਗਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਛਾਪੀਆਂ ਹਨ ਕਿਤਾਬਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਕਾਰ ਉਹ ਜੋ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਇਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਤਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀ ਵੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਅਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਅਤੇ ਕਈਆਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਛੋਟੀ ਉਮਰ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਕਾਰ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਗਏ ਹਨ। ਸੋ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਰਹਿ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਸਕੇ। ਸੋ ਮੇਰੀ ਸ਼ੁਭਕਾਮਨਾਵਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਵੀਰਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਭੈਣਾਂ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲਣ ਚੁੱਕਣ ਦੀ ਖਿਮਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Sat Sri Akal. Thank you, Sardar Savinder Singh Bindra ji. I am Divnoor Kaur and I am here on behalf of Guru Angad Dev Education Centre and Pai Mardana Sangeet Academy. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the whole team of Charity Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan for completing 100 years of serving our community. For 100 years, they have been providing support and have always been trying to give our community an identity in the world. The current service of the community have set a very good example for me and my peers at Guru Angad Dev Education Centre and by Mardana Sangeet Academy. We aspire to take after our elders and continue this service for the future generations. As an assistant volunteer teacher, I have started taking steps forward towards the goal of keeping the youth, including myself, connected to the Afghan community, our culture and Sikhism. We are the future after all, and hopefully we can together keep making a better world for Afghan Sikhs and Hindus. I would also like to congratulate my grandfather, Dr. SIKH Khurana, for launching the 5th part of his book, A Forgotten History of Hindu and Sikh Science, 3rd Century. With that being said, I would like to invite my senior colleague, Manveen Kaur, to the stage. Thank you.
Sat Sri Akal. I would first like to say that I'm grateful for getting this opportunity, and thanks to Dr. Joginder Singh ji for letting me come up on this stage and share some real facts, issues, and the reasons why our Sikh and Hindu community has been forced to flee from their home country, Afghanistan. As we all know, in the ancient and classical periods, the three primary religions of Afghanistan were Hinduism, Buddhism, and Zoroastrianism. Sikhism was brought to Afghanistan by Guru Nanak Dev Ji in the 15th century. Many Sikhs followed Guru Nanak Dev Ji, but some people residing in Afghanistan before wholeheartedly started respecting the teachings of Guruji. The sense of respect and homely feeling was what created a whole community of Sikhs and Hindus over centuries after that. Before 1880, as mentioned earlier, there were more than 220,000 Sikhs and Hindus in Afghanistan, and over time they were forced to leave their home country, and now the number has gone down to barely 100. Due to the civil wars that have been going on over the decades, there have been many uncountable attacks on Sikhs and Hindus, which if I start talking about, we will be here for a very long time. But I am going to share some of my knowledge on the attacks that happened during the 20th and 21st centuries. We all know that the most recent attack, which was on the 18th of June, Saturday, at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, at Gurdwara Karte Parwan, where 2 people were martyred and 3 were injured. This, however, was only one of the 8 attacks in the 20th and 21st century. 8 times of bloodshed, 8 times where the terror took over the lives of people, 8 times where people gave their lives, but nothing was better, nothing was improved. First, on the 15th of June 1931, during the war between the Mangli and Jaya in Ghazni, where 40 Sikhs became martyrs. Second, the 17th of April 1972, where a Pakistani GTS bus driver with a terrorist state of mind consciously crashed with a vehicle which seated dozens of Afghan Sikhs martyred during this planned accident. Third, on the 13th of April 1988, which is Vaisakhi Day, or should I call it a martyrdom day, for 13 Sikhs and 4 Muslims. Fourth, 29th March 1989, the harsh attacks at the Gurdwara Guru Nanak Darbar Jalalabad, where we lost 31 people and 102 people were injured. Fifth, 25th of April 1990 at the Gurdwara in Ilman, where many Sikhs and Hindus were martyred. Sixth, on 1st July 2018, a terror attack on the Sikh leadership where 11 Sikhs and 1 Muslim, their driver, were put to death. Seventh, 25th March 2020, at Gurdwara Guru Har Rai Sahib Ji, where 25 people, Sikhs, Sikhnis, young children, and the Gurdwara gatekeeper were martyred. A lot of parents, they lost their kids, and a lot of some little ones, they lost their parents. And the most recent one, like I mentioned, the 8th one, was on the 18th of June this year at the Gurdwara Karte Parwan. Other than these, there have been many incidents happened, or even still happening, with Sikhs and Hindus, where people are attacked in their shops, homes, gurdwaras. They get kidnapped, forced to change religion, threatened, and beaten. Since after the attack on Babri Masjid in India on 6 December 1992, many Hindus and Sikhs in Afghanistan were targeted, and most damage was done to the gurdwaras and mandirs in Ghazni, Khost, Kandahar, Jalalabad, and Karte Parwan. Also in 1992, many circumstances were faced, such as captured businesses, discontinued schools for kids. Girls, even at the age of 10, had to be kept at home to be kept safe. Our hearts ache, and it's also almost impossible to hold back tears when we hear about these unfortunate times and see photos and videos from such incidents. After the drastic decrease in the number of Sikhs and Hindus from over 220,000 to about, like I said, just barely 100, this is my appeal, or rather a request to the Afghan government and the international members in power to provide security for those who have pledged to stay loyal to their country, Afghanistan, but are facing harsh consequences for it. Thank you. And with that being said, I would like to invite Ms. Vandana ji to please come and take over the stage.
It's okay. Before that, we just need to.
Sure.
That's fine. Ji.
Thanks a lot, Manvin, for sharing insights and thoughts on very prevalent issues in Afghanistan at the minute. I would now like to invite the Right Honourable Baroness Bharat Chitkara to share a few words with everyone present here today.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We are all going through a very, very sad situation where the complete genocide of Sikhs and Hindus in Afghanistan, a thriving community, have been completely obliterated. I'm a president of Global Sikh Council and been taking a leading role getting the Sikhs from Afghanistan into India, getting permission for visas, and my committee of Afghan affairs, they've been very successful in getting them back. But it's not easy to leave their homes, your homes, herds, businesses, and everything, and come to another country to start everything all over again. My full sympathies with you all as well, where we have all our Sikh brothers and Hindu brothers and sisters. You are very closely related to them. Please accept our condolences. We are doing all we can. Keep pushing. My husband keeps asking questions in the parliament, but you know, the results are not always positive. We have to wait and wait and wait. And one thing I want to say to the organizers, thank you very much for organizing this. And I am thrilled, really thrilled to see such beautiful young girls managing the stage. That is the real teachings of Guru Nanak Sahib. I always say Guru Nanak Sahib gave equality to women handed in a plate. We didn't have to fight for it. You know, those who are in this country, how women fought for the right to vote. Suffragists, they came under the horses' hooves. They had hartals, pukhartal, in the prisons and everything. We Sikh women were just given equality by Guru Nanak Sahib. What we got to remember, there's always a responsibility with it. If we have that equality and if we don't discharge our responsibilities, there's always a danger of losing it. And many times I go to the gurdwaras and some inspector of schools and teachers and others will come and they always say, hey, you say there's a complete equality. I didn't see a single woman on the stage. I wish I could have them today and show them how well they managed the stage, how beautifully they spoke. All I want to say is keep it up. So you are the role models and other women, the other women to emulate you. Thank you very much for letting me say a few words and wish you all the best for the future. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Baroness Kawaljeet Kaur, and I request Kailash Aunty and Neela Aunty to please honor. Thank you. Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bole Sonehal Sat Sri Akal. Good evening once again, and I hope the conference has been informative. It's a great honor for us today that we are joined by Dr. Joginder Singh, co-founder of charity Khalsa Diwan Afghanistan, UK. I would like to start off with a short introduction of Mr. Khurana to highlight his accomplishments over the years. Mr. Khurana, son of Mr. Teja Singh Khurana, was born in 1950. He completed his higher education at Kabul and Nangarhar Medical College, graduating with first-class honors. After graduation, he specialized in internal medicine. Dr. Khurana also became a lecturer at Nangarhar Medical College and practiced both in hospital and his own clinic. Apart from specializing in internal medicine, Dr. Khurana has also organized seminars and lectures on various medical conditions. Dr. Khurana has written and is still currently writing books. This includes more than 5 books in Pashto with his professor, 6 other books as a co-author with Mr. Harbans Singh Bewas, 5 more books, Bhuliyan Visriyan Yada De Jharoke, that is Windows of Forgotten History. And he's still working on the remaining 2 parts. And also there are 3 books which are still awaiting to be published, as a co-author with Harbans Singh Bewers and as a co-author with engineer Iqbal Singh. And his own book, Sadbhavna Sandesh Guru Manayo Granth, that is Code and Conduct of a Healthy Community. Dr. Khurana is also a member of Afghan Academy International and Global Federation of Afghan Hindu and Sikh Society and currently working as an advisor to the Afghan Sikh charity. Dr. Khurana has always been a valued key member of organizations in Afghanistan and a well-respected and dedicated worker of his community. He has always wished for Afghan, Hindu and Sikhs not only to individually be an integral part of their community, but also to work together to strengthen the community. It's a great honor, everyone, for me to introduce Mr. Joginder Singh Tej Khurana. डॉक्टर साहब 2 लाइनें बोलना चाहूँगी आपके लिए. काम ऐसा करो कि पहचान बन जाए, काम ऐसा करो कि पहचान बन जाए, हर कदम ऐसे चलो कि निशान बन जाए. यहाँ ज़िंदगी तो हर कोई काट लेता है, यहाँ ज़िंदगी तो हर कोई काट लेता है, ज़िंदगी जियो इस कदर कि मिसाल बन जाए. और आप हमारे लिए और हमारी फ्यूचर जनरेशन्स के लिए मिसाल हैं.
सत्कारयोग प्यारे वीरों भैनों, मैं अपनी स्पीच इंग्लिश विच बढ़ा के लाया सी और दिलों चाहता सी कि अज इंग्लिश विच स्पीच करा, क्योंकि मैं सोचा सी कि थे MPs भी आएंगे और एम्बेसडर भी आएंगे, पर सडनली मैं देखा कि बहुत सारिया स्पीच इंग्लिश विच हो गई और जो कुछ मैं भी कहना चाहता सा वो मनमीन कौर जी ने इंग्लिश विच दस दिता, जो वो सारिया गल्लां मेरिया इस किताब दे विच शामिल हैं. अज मैनूं बड़ी खुशी है कि जड़ा सपना में 1974 तो पाल के रखिया सी कि अफगानिस्तान दे हिंदू सिख एक मास ते नौ दी तरह हैं ते इन्हां नाल जोड़ के रखा जा सकता है और रखना चाहिए. खुशी की गल ये आई कि डॉक्टर किशन लाल मंजाल जो अज इत्थे हाज़र नहीं हैं, उन्होंने कहा सी कि मैं कोशिश करांगा कि आवां. उन्होंने दास नाल मिल के ये यूनिटी नूं अपने शिखर तक पहुँचा दिता सी. असी खालसा दीवान दे मैंबर दिवाली दे दिनां विच मंदिर विच जाके उन्हां नाल उन्हां दी खुशी विच हिस्सा लैंदे सां अते उत्थों डॉक्टर राम लाल जी साडे गुरु घर विच आके विसाखी ते ਵਧਾਈਆਂ पेश करते सन. साडा आपस विच बहुत गहरा संबंध सन. कुछ देर वास्ते 1984 में थोड़े प्रॉब्लम साढ़े आए, पर बहुत जल्द साढ़े बुजुर्गों ने बैठ के वो मसले हल कर देते और वो जो दरार पैदा होने का थोड़ा जिहा भी खतरा सी वो ख़त्म हो गया. असी एक हाँ और एक रवांगे. जिस तरह शर्मा जी ने हुण बड़ी सोहनी गल की कि इहो जे फंक्शन अज तो 40 साल पहले यूके विच हो रहे सन कि कम्यूनिटियां मिल के एक दूजे दे गुरु घरां विच जाके प्रोग्राम करते सन. इस्लाम सब तो बेहतरीन धर्म है, मगर जोड़े इस्लाम नूं चलाने वाले हैं उन्होंने उस तो गलत फायदे उठा रहे हैं. इस करके अज दुनिया के विचकार अशांति बरहाल हो गई. कहने का मतलब है जदों असी इकट्ठ मीटिंग करेंगे हिंदू सिख क्रिश्चियन मुसलमान, असी एक दूजे नूं जानकारी दे पावांगे कि साडा तुहाडा धर्म की है. धर्म सानू इंसानियत का रस्ता दिखाने. अज सारी दुनिया च आवाज़ां उठ रही हैं कि इंसानियत का धर्म होना चाहिए है. जदों अज दुनिया बहुत छोटी हो गई है, दुनिया नूं फोना सोशल मीडिया हवाई जहाज़ एक दूजे नाल इतना करीब कर देता है कि असी बहुत नज़दीक आ रहे हैं, पर कितने साड़ी सोच अलग अलग है. लोग आवाज़ां मारते हैं जो असी इतने नज़दीक आ गए हैं, साढ़े विच इंसानियत का धर्म होना चाहिए है. फिर मैं कहना जब इंसानियत के धर्म की गल कर दो तो गुरु नानक की सोच न अपनाओ. गुरु नानक की सोच इंसानियत की सोच है. गुरु नानक ने नारा बुलंद किया, ना हिंदू ना मुसलमान, सारे इंसान ने. जदों सारे ऐसे तुसी इंसान आ, फिर साढ़े विच नफरत किस गल दी मैनूं बड़ा दुख है कि साढ़े विच कुछ लोगों ने जदों असी काट वंडे साढ़े कुछ मैंबरां नूं तंग किता ने तुसी मंदिर जाके मीटिंग कर दिओ मनो फोन आई मैं कि तुसी सारे कहो कि ये डॉक्टर जोगिंदर दा फैसला है अगर किसी जरूरत है तो मेरे सामने आके कहे कि तू मंदिर जाके क्यों मीटिंग करना मंदिर गुरुद्वारे मस्जिद और चर्च ये सारे साढ़े धार्मिक स्थान हैं और इन्हां सारियां दा सत्कार करना चाहिए ये अलग गल है कि अज अफगानिस्तान के कुछ कट्टरपंथी ये नहीं समझ पा रहे कि ये धार्मिक स्थान जिहड़े अफगानिस्तान दे विचकार रह गए हैं ये साडा विरासत है ये साड़ा इतिहास है ये तो असी कह रहे हैं कि शायद असी अफगानिस्तान वत न जा सकी ना ही साड़ी फर्स्ट या सेकंड जनरेशन जा सके मगर अगर वो जगह इन्हें संभाल के रख दें बढ़िया रख दें जेडे सैलानी जाएंगे वो देखणगे वो इतिहास पढ़नगे वो उस चीज़ों नाल अफगानिस्तान का इतिहास वधेगा पंजवां पार्ट इस वास्ते इत्थे रखे हुआ है कि इस किताब के विचकार अफगानिस्तान के विचकार निहत्ते अफगान मासूम लोगों ते हमले जेडे जिक्र किए गए 400 पेज की किताब है जितने हमले साढ़े 20वीं ते 21वीं सदी के विचकार होए जेड़ा नवनीत जी ने तुहानू दसिया कि साढ़े 7-8 हमले होए मजर हमले जिस विचकार बहुत सारे लोग साढ़े शहीद होए उन्होंने शहीदों दिया नाम उन्होंने फोटोआं सारियां इस किताब के विचकार हैं और इस किताब नू अज लॉन्च किया जा रहा है सो मैं सरदार हरबंस सिंह जी हांडा साहब नू अते प्रधान साहब मनोहर सिंह जी नाले भजन सिंह जी कपूर जी नू बेनती करना इत्थे स्टेज ते आ जान ते इस किताब नू सिंह साहब दिलेर सिंह जी के हाथों लॉन्च करना चाहिए अगर ज़ामत तशरीफ खैर कोई गल नहीं कट दिया खैर कोई किताब आई ले लो तुसी फिर मंदे दे जरिए कि सही आई है ठीक है मैं तो दो ही दे
विचार सिंह जी नूं बेनती करा कि वो भी इत्थे आ जाण विचार सिंह जी आगे आ जाओ भाई विसाखा सिंह नूं बेनती है कि वो भी आ जाने थे स्टेज को अगर आना थे गुरुद्वारा गुरु नानक दरबार वालों बेनती है सरदार सुरेंद्र सिंह जी बिंद्रा नूं वो भी आ जान अच्छा सरदार सुरवीर सिंह जी नूं बेनती है कि वो भी आ जाने थे मुरलीराम कटियार जी ने भी बेनती है कि आ जान असी अकाल पुरख वाहिगुरू दे चरणों में अरदास करने जिस तरह डॉक्टर साहब ने इस तरह मेहनत की ज़ामत की है कि साड़ा जड़ा पिछोकड़ है उसनों लैके 2500 पन्नियां विच छाप के साध संगत जी दे पेश किया है साध संगत जी में इतिहास जी बेनती करा किताब छापना कोई ऐसी गल नहीं आसान गल नहीं वर्ड लिखना वर्ड नूं जगह ते बिठाना उसकी लैन बढ़ानी लैन तो उसका सफ़ा बनाना सफ़ा तो किताब बनाना ये कोई इजी गल नहीं हर एक चीज़ वास्ते सोचना पैंदा है हर एक चीज़ नूं जगह ते लिखना चाहिए है इन्होंने पूरी मेहनत की है बहुत ज़ामत की है पूरे अफगानिस्तान नूं माला दी मटका दी तरह परो के इसे रखिया नहीं जेड़ी किताब असी अज लॉन्च कर रहे हैं ये जेड़े साढ़े ते अफगानिस्तान अटैक होए हैं ते साढ़े नाल ज़्यादती हुई है वो इस किताब दर्ज है उम्मीद करते हैं कि जो साड़ी आने वाली पनीरी है इस तो लाभ उठा सन अज ये किताब जिहड़ी है केवल तो केवल एक किताब है जब इस तो असी लाभ उठा सी फिर एक हिस्ट्री है फिर एक इतिहास बन जासी साध संगत जी इन्हां दी चढ़दी कला वास्ते अरदास करदे होए अकाल पुरख वाहिगुरू दे चरणों में बेनती करदे हां इन्हां नूं चढ़दी कला वाले जीवन बख्शे बोले सोनिया आप सारे पतवंते सेठां दा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप जी ने निजामत की है एक बार फिर मैं आप जी का धन्यवाद करना आप जी की बहुत बहुत मेहरबानी जी
बहुत सारे स्पीकर थे सन साढ़े कोल मगर टाइम की कमी करके सिर्फ दो मिनट का टाइम दिता जाता है 2 मिनट 3 मिनट उस तो बाद फिर मंदिर दे प्रोग्रामन जो कुछ लोगों को सन्मानित करना है उन्होंने मैं इंजीनियर साहब इकबाल सिंह जी को बेनती करना कि स्टेज पर आ जाए उन्होंने तो बाद भैन जी महेंद्र कौर जी भी तैयार रहन ते हरभजन सिंह भी 2 मिनट अपने विचार साझे करो क्योंकि साड़ा समा सी के बाद असी 5:30 बजे बाद प्रोग्राम को ख़त्म कर देंगे पर अनफॉर्चुनेटली भी 25 मिनट होने भी ज़्यादा लगे तो अजी 10-15 मिनट और प्रोग्राम भी है इंजीनियर साहब को भी बेनती करनी है भैन जी को भी ते हरभजन सिंह को भी कि 2-3 मिनट आप जी ने अपने विचार
वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह श्री ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय सलाम बराए बरदरान अजीज़े दोस्तों शनी मौके दरीन जा हुजूरदार हमचनान ईद कुर्बान बरशान हम तबरीक अर्ज़ में खना मैं ज़्यादा बोलने का टाइम शायद बहुत काटे पर सोच बड़ी ज़्यादा है जो लोगों ने थे ज़्यादा बोल चुके हैं डॉक्टर साहब परवांशी उन्होंने मेरे से गुंजाइश भी नहीं रही कि मैं और इस चीज़ के बारे में कुछ ज़्यादा तबसरा करा पर फिर भी डॉक्टर साहब ने जो इस 2 साल दे इस महामारी के विचकार कोरोना विचकार जो इन्होंने अपना रात दिन एक करके और इन्होंने 20 साल बल्कि पहले तो ही शुरुआत की है मैं इसनों काबिल कदर समझदा मैं कुछ शब्द इन्हों के बारे इस तरह पेश कर सकता हाँ अफगान में शुरू तो विद्या वाल कोई ज़्यादा रुझाव नहीं सी नाले विद्या इदारे दी बहुत घट सन उधर इस्लामी मुल्क के होने कारण हिंदू सिख भाईचारा अपने बच्चों सरकारी स्कूलों भेजने तो संकोच करते सन पर काम चलाउण गुरमुखी ते गुरबाणी दा पढ़ाई का प्रबंध तकरीबन हर स्थानीय गुरुद्वारे साहिब विच किए गए सन जिथे गुरु घर के ग्रंथियां बच्चों को पढ़ाते सन 40-50 के दहाके विच कुछ हालात बदलने शुरू हो गए अते उस समय कुछ गुरमुख परिवारों ने समाज की अनपढ़ स्थिति अते पढ़े लिखे नौजवानों की कमी को महसूस करके अपने अफगान हिंदू सिंह समाज को एक पढ़ी लिखी हुई समाज के बदलण लई उपराले किए ते विद्या फैलण की सफल प्रक्रिया का हिस्सा बनते गए इस नेक कदम के नतीजे विच अफगान हिंदू सिख के बच्चों लिए अधिकारक धार्मिक स्कूल बन विच आए अति परिवारों ने न केवल बच्चों को सरकारी स्कूलों में शामिल करना शुरू किया बल्कि उन्होंने ऊंच वेदे की प्राप्ति लिए भी उत्साहित किया जिस दे नतीजे विच सिख नौजवान डॉक्टर इंजीनियर अते नर्स दियां डिग्रियां की प्राप्ति नाल कौम दा शान बने इन्हां चंद उच्च डिग्री प्राप्त नौजवानों विचों एक डॉक्टर जोगिंदर सिंह जी तेज खुराना सन जिन्होंने नंगाहार यूनिवर्सिटी तो MD की डिग्री की प्राप्ति नाल न केवल मेडिकल खेत्र में कौम की सेवा में जुड़ गए सगों सरकारी समाजिक अते धार्मिक इकट्ठा में एक तकरीरां दी शुरू कर दित्तियां जिन्हां दी स्पीचां अते एक नरोवा अफगान सिख समाज बनाने की रणनीतियां लोकप्रिय होण लगियां उपरोक्त गतिविधियां के कारण डॉक्टर तेज खुरानिया दियां बहुत सच्चियां समाज सोचां नूं लेके कौम के महान विद्वान अफगान पार्लीमेंट के मैंबर सरदार जय सिंह जी फानी बोले सन कि उन्होंने डॉक्टर तेज खुराने विच भविख का एक कलात्मक नौजवान अते लीडरशिपी वाले गुण नज़र आ रहे हैं जो कौम ਲਈ लाभदायक हो सकते हैं
इंजीनियर साहब जी का धन्यवाद करते हाँ और भैन जी महेंद्र कौर जी 2 मिनटों वास्ते अपने विचार पेश करेगी
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह प्यारे वीरो अते भैनों अज साडे जीवन का बहुत बड़ा दिन है क्योंकि खालसा दीवान अफगानिस्तान के 101 साल दे होने दे प्रबंध ये जो प्रोग्राम उलीकिया गया है ये जो साडे प्यो दादियां दी यादां ताज़ियां हो गई हैं ये मैनू याद है इस संस्था के 6 मैंबर खालसा दीवान के 80वीं ਸਾਲਗਿਰਾ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਗਿਣ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ ਕਿ ਕਦ ਇਸ ਸੰਥਾਂ ਦੇ 100ਵੇਂ ਵਰ੍ਹੇਗੰਢ ਮਨਾਵਾਂਗੇ। ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦਾ ਪਾਣਾ 3-4 ਬੰਦੇ ਹੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਉਣ, ਅਤੇ ਜੋ ਜੀਵਤ ਹਨ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਮਨੋਹਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਜੋਗਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਤੇਜ ਖੁਰਾਣਾ। ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਤੇ ਇਸਤਰੀ ਸਤਸੰਗ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਜਵਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਉਣ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਿਸ਼ਤੀ ਦੀ ਨਈਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਭਾਲਣ। ਆਖੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਅਸਮਾਈ ਮੰਦਰ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਭਾਰਤ ਜੀ ਚਿਟਕਾਰਾ ਅਤੇ ਉਸ ਦੀ ਟੀਮ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈ ਦਾ ਪਾਤਰ ਸਮਝਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਰਾਤ ਦਿਨ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਨਾਲੇ ਬੀਬੀ ਵੰਦਨਾ ਜੀ, ਬੀਬੀ ਕੋਮਲ ਜੀ, ਬੀਬੀ ਮਨਵੀਨ ਜੀ, ਬੀਬੀ ਨਵਨੀਤ ਕੌਰ, ਬੀਬੀ ਦੇਵਨੂਰ ਕੌਰ, ਸਰਦਾਰ ਪ੍ਰੇਮੀ ਜੀ, ਭਾਰਤ ਜੀ ਅਤੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਤੇਜ ਖੁਰਾਣਾ ਜੀ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨ ਅਤੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਦੇ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਅਤੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਭਰਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਅਤੇ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਦੀਵਾਨ ਦੇ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਮੈਂਬਰ, ਇਸਤਰੀ ਸਤਸੰਗ ਜੋ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇ ਦਰਬਾਰ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਗਹਿਰਾਈਆਂ 'ਚੋਂ ਵਧਾਈ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਅਤੇ ਜੈਕਾਰਾ ਬੁਲਾਉਂਦੀਆਂ। ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Thank you, Ji. I want to congratulate Mr. Bharat Chitkara, our newly elected president of Afghan Hindus and Asamai Temple in London, for your hard work. I call him Bhaiya, so I will address him as Bhaiya. Bhaiya, you're a key sevadar. In other words, you're a team player whose passion and enthusiasm continue to stand out. I sincerely express my gratitude for your exceptional effort during the last 15 years. You're a valued member of Asamai Cultural Trust and the Hindu community. We appreciate your seva, your selfless time, your effort you've put in. Thank you so much, Bharat Bhaiya, for being an outstanding role model to our youth today. The team couldn't have done it without you. Thanks again. Can I please now invite Sardar Amrik Singh Ji Lamba Ji and Sardar Pajan Singh Ji Kapoor Ji to come and honor Bharat Bhaiya. And Singh Sahib Daler Singh Ji. Thank you. I truly, truly appreciate Bharat Bhaiya and congratulate you on all that you have accomplished. And Joginder Singh Ahuja Ji, please. Khalsa Diwan, Afghanistan, would like to present a token of appreciation and motivation to Mr. Bharat Chitkara in form of Sirpao. थोड़ी ज़्यादा भी बनती है. Thank you so much. बोले सो निहाल, सत श्री अकाल, जयकारा माँ शेरावाली दा, बोल साचे दरबार की जय. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you all for your prayers and good wishes for Afghan Hindus and Sikhs today. Now, Asamai Cultural Trust would invite a few members of its community to honor our respective guests. Could I please call Mr. Bharat Chitkara, Dr. Ramarji, Uncle Ashok, Uncle Chaudhary, Uncle Ji Chaman, Bhaiya Ji Sunil, and from our ladies, can I please have Mami Kalash, Auntie Leela, Auntie Neelam, Didi Anita, to come and do the honors for men and women. And Nana Didi, please. Without the women, Asamai community is nothing. औरतों के बगैर हमारी community चल ही नहीं सकती. और next time हमें आधी औरतें चाहिए, आधे gents चाहिए. बहुत थोड़ी सी हमारी ladies आई हैं आज. As Baroness said, we need more women. And Uncle Ji Chuna, please. Can I please have Honorable Lord Inderjeet Singh Ji, thank you, sir, for your inspirational words. I loved your speech. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. जयकारा माँ शेरा वालिदा बोल साचे दरबार की जय. Sat Sri Akal, Honorable Mr. Saeed Rafi Akil Ji, Cultural Secretary of Afghan Embassy. And could I also have जयकारा माँ शेरा वालिदा बोल साचे दरबार की जय. जो बोले सो निहाल. सत श्री अकाल. Mr. Shapoor Amin ji, Amini ji. And could I please have my lovely sister Asiya Jan ji? It was lovely meeting you again. Jayakara Ma Shera Walida, Bol Sache Darbar Ki Jai. Can I please request one member of Shri Khalsa Diwan, one member of Shri Guru Nanak Darbar Ji, and Shri Guru Dwara Garib Nawaz Ji, one member of Gurudwara Kingston, and one member of our host Baradari, please. Sorry, I do not have the list of names, so please come on stage from your respective associations. जयकारा माँ शेरा वालिदा बोल साचे दरबार की जय. श्री ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. 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 वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. श्री ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. सत श्री अकाल. और ये माता के दरबार की भेंट है. जयकारा माँ शेरा वालिदा बोल साचे दरबार की जय. बोले सो निहाल. सत श्री अकाल. है सर्टिफिकेट. Can I please request Honorable Dr. Joginder Singh Khurana ji and Honorable Shri Harbans Singh Handa ji to come up on stage and collect your sirpa from the Yasamai community. Thank you so much for your effort, for your selfless, for your seva, and turning us all into sevadars. Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jo bole so nehal. Sat Sri Akal. And it's a certificate we've honored, and we will pass it on to our future generations. And could I please request Mr. Handa ji? Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jo bole so nehal. Sat Sri Akal.
Shrimati Vanna Chok, Komal Sapda, Navneet Arora, Manveen Kaur, Devnoor Godami. Jayakara Ma Shera Walida. Dr. Joginder Sahib di wife Vanna Didi nu flower dena chahndi hai as a sarpas सारे दे नाल ते फोटो भी खिंचवाना चाहती हैं.
Thank you जी. ये सब के लिए
ते एक सरपा सरदार हरभजन सिंह जी, अफगान हिंदू सिख वेलफेयर सोसाइटी दिल्ली. बोले सोनिया. तो सारे ने एक बार फिर धन्यवाद. उते